Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine standing at the edge of something vast, something you cannot see but can somehow feel. Death has always been humanity's greatest mystery, not because we fear it, but because we cannot know it, not yet, not from this side. Tonight we're going to explore what happens after, not with fear, not with certainty, but with curiosity, gentle, quiet curiosity. These are theories, ideas born from philosophy, religion, science, and human imagination. Some will feel familiar, others will stretch your mind in unexpected directions. But all of them share one thing: they remind us that the unknown doesn't have to be frightening. It can be a place of rest, of wonder, of peace. So settle in, let your breathing slow, and allow yourself to wander through the possibilities. Let's begin. The void theory. Some believe that after death, there is nothing. Not darkness, not silence, not even the awareness of absence. Just nothing. Picture yourself before you were born. Can you remember it? Can you recall the sensation of not existing? You can't, because there was no you to experience it. The void theory suggests death is the same, a return to that state. No pain, no fear, no longing, simply the cessation of experience itself. Philosophers call this eternal oblivion. It sounds heavy, but think about it differently. Imagine the deepest sleep you've ever had, the kind where you close your eyes and the next moment it's morning, no dreams, no awareness of time passing. That's what the void might feel like, except you never wake up, and because there's no consciousness, you never know you're not waking up. There's a strange comfort in that, no suffering, no worry, just the end of need. And perhaps that's not emptiness at all, perhaps it's the ultimate rest. Reincarnation, the wheel of rebirth. Now imagine something different. Imagine that death is not an ending, but a doorway. You step through and moments later, you open your eyes again, a different body, a different life, a different world. This is the heart of reincarnation, the belief that consciousness doesn't disappear, it simply moves. In Hinduism and Buddhism, this cycle is called samsara. You live, you die, you are reborn, over and over, across lifetimes, carrying lessons forward like seeds in the wind. Picture a river, the water flows. It crashes over rocks, pools in calm bends, rushes forward again. The river changes, but the water remains. Your soul in this view is like that water. It takes many forms, inhabits many lives, but the essence continues. Some believe you return as a human. Others say you might become an animal or even something beyond this world. And each life, they say, is shaped by karma, the actions and intentions of the life before. So if this life is hard, perhaps it's teaching you something, and if the next is easier, perhaps you've learned. It's not punishment, it's growth, endless, patient, spiraling growth. And somewhere, after many cycles, you reach enlightenment, you step off the wheel, you return to the source. But until then, you keep going, learning, changing, becoming. The light at the end. Let's talk about the light. You've probably heard of it, the near-death experience, the tunnel, the warmth. People who have been close to death, clinically dead, even often describe the same thing. A soft, glowing light, not harsh, not blinding, just welcoming. Some say it feels like love, pure, unconditional, overwhelming love. Others describe seeing figures in the light, family members who have passed, beings of light, guides. Scientists explain this as brain chemistry, oxygen deprivation, neural misfires in the dying brain creating hallucinations. But here's the thing, even if that's true, does it make the experience less real to the person having it? Imagine your brain, in its final moments, flooding you with peace, with warmth, with the sensation of being held. Isn't that, in its own way, a kind of gift? And if consciousness does continue, if the light is something beyond biology, then it's a glimpse of what waits. Either way, the light is comforting. It says you are not alone, you are not falling into darkness. You are moving toward something soft. The judgment hall. Picture a vast hall. High ceilings, quiet echoes, and at the center a presence. Not harsh, not cruel, but deeply, utterly aware. Many religious traditions speak of judgment after death. In Christianity, it's standing before God. In Islam, it's the day of judgment. In ancient Egypt, it was the weighing of the heart against a feather. The idea is simple. Your life is reviewed. Your choices, your intentions, your actions. And based on that review, you are sent somewhere. Heaven, hell, purgatory, a place of reflection and consequence. Now set aside the images of fire and clouds for a moment. What if judgment isn't about punishment at all? What if it's simply truth? Imagine standing in front of a mirror that reflects not your face, but your soul, every kindness, every cruelty, every moment you chose love or fear or indifference. You see it all, and you understand fully who you became. That might be harder than any external punishment, to see yourself clearly, to know what you could have been. But it might also be liberating. Because in that clarity, there's no more pretending, no more hiding. Just the truth of who you were. And perhaps from that truth comes peace. Quantum immortality. Here's a strange one. Quantum mechanics suggests that every choice you make splits reality into multiple paths. In one universe, you turned left. In another, you turned right. Both exist, both are real, you just only experience one. Now apply that to death. In one universe, you die, but in another, something happens differently, you survive. Quantum immortality suggests that from your perspective, you always survive. Because the you that dies can't experience death, only the you that continues can experience anything. So you keep living, jumping from universe to universe, always narrowly escaping, always continuing. It sounds impossible, but quantum physics is full of impossible things that turn out to be true. Picture yourself walking across infinite branching roads. Every time one path ends, you find yourself on another. You never see the endings, you only experience the continuations. And maybe from the outside you did die, but from the inside your story never stops. It's dizzying to think about, but also oddly hopeful. It means that somewhere, in some thread of reality, you go on forever. The dream state. What if death is like waking from a dream? Think about it. When you dream, it feels real. You believe in the rules of that world. You feel emotions. You make choices. But when you wake up, you realize it was all a construct, a story your mind was telling itself. Some spiritual traditions say life is the same. This world, this body, this identity, it's all a dream, and death is the moment you wake up. You open your eyes and realize, I was never really there. I was always here. I was always whole. Hinduism calls this Maya, the illusion of separation, the belief that you are a single, isolated self. But in truth, you are part of something infinite. You always were. Death doesn't destroy you. It just ends the dream of separation. Imagine spending years inside a vivid dream, convinced it's all there is. Then you wake up in your bed, sunlight on your face, and think, oh, that was just a dream. Relief, clarity, a return to something truer. That's what some say death feels like. Not an end, a waking. The afterlife as memory. Here's a gentler thought. What if life after death isn't about where you go, but about what you leave behind? Your body stops, your breath ends, but your impact doesn't. Every person you loved, every kindness you gave, every idea you shared. Those things continue. In a way, you become immortal through memory. Picture a tree. It grows for decades, giving shade, holding the soil, sheltering birds. One day it falls, but its roots remain, its seeds scatter, new trees grow. The original tree is gone, but its presence lingers. You are like that tree. The people you touched carry pieces of you forward, your children, your friends, even strangers who once heard you speak. You live on in the stories they tell, in the lessons they learned, in the love they pass to others. It's not heaven, it's not reincarnation. But it's not nothing either. It's a quiet kind of forever. The souls return to source. Imagine a drop of water falling into the ocean. For a moment, it's separate, individual, distinct. Then it touches the surface and it merges. It's not destroyed, it's not lost, it just becomes part of something larger. Many spiritual traditions describe death this way. Your soul, your essence, returns to the source, to God, to the universe, to the infinite consciousness from which it came. You don't disappear, you dissolve, like sugar in tea, still there but no longer separate. Some find this frightening, the loss of self, the end of I. But others find it beautiful. Because if you are part of everything, then you are connected to everyone, to every star, every tree, every breath. You are no longer alone. You are home. The simulation hypothesis. What if this entire reality is a simulation? A program running on some unimaginable computer, designed by beings we can't comprehend. And death is just logging out. It sounds like science fiction, but some physicists take it seriously. They point to the strange rules of quantum mechanics, the way particles behave when observed, the mathematical structure underlying everything. It all suggests that reality might be information, code, a rendered experience. And if that's true, then death might be the end of this program. Maybe you wake up in another place, maybe you start a new simulation. Maybe you were always something bigger, just experiencing this life as a game, a lesson, a story. It's unsettling, but also oddly freeing. Because if this is a simulation, then suffering isn't permanent, death isn't final. It's just the end of this level. And somewhere, beyond the code, you continue. The eternal now. Here's a paradox. What if there is no after death, because there is no time? Einstein showed us that time isn't constant, it bends, it stretches, it's relative. And some physicists believe that past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. We just experience them one moment at a time, like reading a book page by page. But the whole book already exists. So maybe, after you die, you don't go somewhere else. You simply exist in a state where all moments are available. Every memory, every possibility, every version of you. All at once. It's not movement, it's expansion. You stop being a single point in time and become everything you ever were, all at once. Imagine holding your entire life in your hands like a sphere. You can see your birth, your childhood, your death, all present, all real. That might be what eternity feels like. Not endless time, but timelessness. The gray space. Not all theories are definitive. Some suggest something in between, a space that's neither heaven nor void. Just a place, quiet, gray, waiting. Picture a train station at dawn, empty benches, soft light, no sound but your own breath. You're not suffering, but you're not blissful either. You're just there. Some call this purgatory, others call it the bardo, a Tibetan concept of the in-between state. It's a place of transition, a pause before the next thing. Maybe you're waiting to reincarnate, maybe you're processing your life, maybe you're simply resting. It's not forever, but it's not immediate either. And in that waiting, there's a strange stillness. No rush, no pressure, just existence soft and slow. Like sitting in a waiting room, knowing eventually your name will be called. But for now, you rest. The Akashic Records. Imagine a library. Infinite shelves, every book ever written, every life ever lived. Rows and rows of stories stretching into eternity. And somewhere in that library is your book. Every thought you had, every choice you made, every moment you existed. All of it recorded, not as judgment, just as fact. This is the idea of the Akashic Records, a cosmic archive of all consciousness. Some say it exists in a higher dimension, others say it's woven into the fabric of space itself. And when you die, some believe you gain access. You can read your own book, see your life from every angle. You can even read others' books, understand their pain, their joy, their reasons. It's not about reward or punishment. It's about understanding. Imagine finally knowing why things happened the way they did. Why you met certain people, why certain doors closed. And in that knowing, finding peace. The collective unconscious. Carl Jung believed in something he called the collective unconscious, a shared layer of mind beneath our individual thoughts. It contains archetypes, symbols, patterns that all humans recognize. The hero, the mother, the shadow, the wise old man. They live in myths, in dreams, in art. And some believe that when you die, you return to this collective space. You stop being you and become part of the shared mind of humanity. Your memories blend with others. Your experiences become part of the greater pattern. It's not loss, it's contribution. Like a musician adding a note to an eternal symphony. You were individual for a time, but you were always part of the song. And now you return to the music. The mirror realms. What if the afterlife is a reflection? A place where everything is reversed, opposite. What was heavy becomes light, what was hidden becomes clear. Some mystics speak of mirror realms, places that exist parallel to ours, but inverted. Not evil, not dark, just opposite. Imagine walking through your life backward, starting at the end, moving toward the beginning. You see every choice from the other side. Every time you gave, you feel what it was to receive. Every time you hurt someone, you feel their pain. Every time you were loved, you feel the fullness of that love. It's not punishment, it's perspective. You become everyone you ever touched. And in that reflection, you finally understand. The garden. Picture a garden. Warm sun, soft grass, trees heavy with fruit. You walk barefoot, the earth is cool beneath your feet. There's no hurry, no task, no one waiting for you. Just peace. Many cultures describe the afterlife as a garden. The Garden of Eden, the Elysian Fields, Jannah in Islam. A place where suffering ends, where the soul can rest. Not forever, maybe, but for as long as you need. Imagine lying beneath a tree, feeling the breeze. No more pain in your body, no more fear in your end. Just the quiet knowledge that you are safe. That's the garden. A place to heal, to remember, to breathe. And when you're ready, perhaps you move on. But until then, you rest. The dark night. Not every theory is comforting. Some speak of darkness, not evil, just absence. A long, quiet night where the soul sits with itself. No distraction, no light, no escape. In Christian mysticism, this is called the dark night of the soul. A period of profound emptiness where even God feels absent. But it's not punishment, it's transformation. Like a seed buried in soil, it's dark, it's silent, it's alone. But it's also becoming something new. Maybe death is like that. A dark night of the soul stretched across eternity. You sit with everything you were, everything you feared, everything you avoided. And slowly, in that darkness, something shifts. Not joy, not light, just acceptance. And maybe that's enough. The Council of Elders. Imagine standing in a circle. Around you are beings, old, wise, radiating calm. They don't speak, but you understand them. They're here to help you review your life. Not to judge, to guide. Some near-death experiences describe meeting a council. Beings of light, ancestors, guides. They ask questions, gentle ones. What did you learn? How did you grow? What would you do differently? You answer honestly, because here you can't lie. They see everything, and they love you anyway. This isn't a courtroom, it's a classroom. And the lesson is your life. When the review is done, they help you decide what comes next. Rest, rebirth, return. Whatever your soul needs most. The multiverse of selves. What if every choice you didn't make still happened? In another universe, you said yes instead of no. You took that job, you moved to that city, you kissed that person. And somewhere, another version of you is living that life. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics suggests this is real. Every decision splits reality, every possibility exists. So when you die in this universe, maybe you continue in another. a you that didn't get sick, a you that avoided the accident. Infinite yous, living infinite lives. And maybe, after death, you become aware of all of them. You see every path you could have taken. Not with regret, just with understanding. And you realize you lived them all. In some thread of existence, you became everything you could have been. The silence. Let's sit with silence for a moment. Not absence, not emptiness. Just silence. Some believe that after death, there are no words. No thoughts, no stories. Just a deep, infinite silence. And in that silence, there is peace. Think about the noise of life. The constant chatter in your mind, the to-do lists, the worries, the plans. What if all of that just stopped? Not because you were gone, but because you no longer needed it. You exist in silence, and the silence is full. It's not lonely, it's complete. Like the silence after a symphony ends. The music is over, but the feeling remains. That's the silence after death. Not empty, just still. The return to childhood. Some believe you return to the beginning. Not as a baby, but as the feeling of childhood. That sense of wonder, of play, of time stretching endlessly. Imagine running through a field again, laughing for no reason. Climbing trees, watching clouds, believing in magic. In this theory, death is a return to innocence. Not ignorance, but simplicity. You shed the weight of adulthood, the responsibilities, the pain. And you become light again. Maybe that's what people mean when they say someone is at peace. They've returned to the child they once were. Before the world got heavy. Before they learned to fear. Just joy, just presence, just life. The Phoenix Rebirth. Picture a bird made of fire. It burns bright, it lives fully. And then, at the end, it bursts into flame. But from the ashes, it rises again. This is the phoenix, a symbol of death and rebirth. Some believe this is what happens to the soul. You live, you burn, you die. And then, from the ashes of that life, you rise into something new. Not the same, but not entirely different either. Stronger, wiser, carrying the lessons of the fire. Rebirth doesn't erase who you were. It transforms it. And maybe that's the point of death. Not to end, but to burn away what's no longer needed. So the truest part of you can rise. The observer. What if after death you become pure awareness? No body, no identity, no story. Just watching. You observe reality, but you're no longer attached to it. You see lives unfolding, choices being made, stories beginning and ending. And you understand, finally, that you were never just your story. You were the one watching it. This is a theme in many spiritual traditions. The witness consciousness, the part of you that's always been aware. It's been there your whole life, quietly observing your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences. But you identified so strongly with the story that you forgot about the watcher. Death removes the story. And all that's left is the awareness. Calm, eternal, unchanging. The fractal soul. Imagine zooming into a fern leaf. You see smaller versions of the same pattern. Zoom in further, the pattern repeats. Again and again, infinitely. This is a fractal, a shape that contains itself. Some believe the soul is like this. You are a fragment of something infinite. And that infinite thing is made of fragments just like you. You are the universe experiencing itself. A single note in an endless song. When you die, you don't disappear. You zoom out, and you see that you were always part of the pattern. A small piece of something vast and beautiful. And the pattern continues forever. The forgotten memory. What if you've died before? Many times in many lives. But you don't remember. Because memory doesn't cross the veil. Each life starts fresh, a clean slate. But deep down, in some part of you, the old lives linger. like a song you can't quite remember, but you know you've heard. That's why some places feel familiar, some people feel like home. You've known them before. In another life, another time. And when you die again, the same thing will happen. You'll forget this life, but you'll carry a quiet echo of it. Into the next. And the next. Forever learning, forever growing. But never quite remembering. The edge of perception. Here's a question. What if death is just the limit of what we can perceive? Think about it. You can't see ultraviolet light, but it's there. You can't hear frequencies above a certain range, but dogs can. Your senses only show you a thin slice of reality. What if consciousness after death exists outside that slice? Not gone, just beyond perception. Like a radio station you can't tune into because your receiver isn't built for it. The signal is still there, broadcasting, real. You just can't hear it from where you are. Maybe the dead are all around us, speaking, existing. But we're tuned to the wrong frequency. And when you die, you simply shift. You leave the visible spectrum and enter another band of existence. Still real, just invisible to those still living. The eternal student. Some traditions say life is a school, and death is graduation. You've learned the lessons this life had to teach. Now you move on to the next grade. Or maybe you rest for a while, reflect on what you learned. And when you're ready, you enroll again. A new life, new lessons, new challenges. The soul in this view is a student. Always growing, always curious. And death isn't failure, it's just the end of the semester. You did your best, you learned what you could. And now you take a break. Before the next class begins. The Crystal Cave. Picture a cave filled with crystals. Each one glowing softly, each one unique. You walk among them, and as you pass, they hum. Each crystal is a life, a soul, a story. And you realize this is where souls rest. Some traditions speak of places like this. Sacred caves, crystal cities, libraries of light. Spaces where the soul goes to remember what it is. You sit among the crystals, you listen to their songs. And slowly, you remember your own. Not the details, not the pain. Just the essence. The truth of who you've always been. And in that cave, surrounded by light, you rest. Until it's time to return to the world above. The river crossing. Many cultures speak of a river. A boundary between the living and the dead. In Greek mythology, it's the river Styx. In other traditions, it's a river of light, or fire, or stars. To cross it, you must let go. Of your body, of your name, of your attachments. You step into the water, and it washes everything away. Not cruelly, gently. Like dust being rinsed from your skin. On the other side, you emerge clean. No longer burdened by the weight of life. Just free. And someone is waiting for you. A guide, a loved one, a version of yourself. They take your hand, and they lead you forward. The spiral path. Imagine a spiral staircase. You climb it your whole life, moving upward. Each step is a choice, a lesson, a moment. And when you die, you don't fall. You just keep climbing. The staircase doesn't end, it curves upward into infinity. And with each turn, you see more. You understand more. Not because you're smarter, but because you're higher. Perspective changes everything. And maybe that's what death offers. Another turn of the spiral. Another chance to see the pattern from a new angle. Forever upward, forever unfolding. The sleeping God. Here's a strange idea. What if you are God? Not metaphorically, literally. And this life is a dream you're having. You're infinite, eternal, all-powerful. But you got bored, or lonely, or curious. So you fragmented yourself into billions of pieces. Each near soul, a life, a story. And you're living all of them, one at a time, forgetting temporarily that you're God, so you can experience limitation, surprise, growth. And when you die, you wake up, just for a moment, and you remember, oh, it was me, it was always me. Then you go back to sleep and dream another life, forever exploring yourself. The waiting room. Picture a room with soft chairs, warm lighting, a window showing a calm sky. You sit and you wait. For what, you're not sure. But it doesn't feel urgent. Some people who have had near-death experiences describe this. A place that feels like waiting. Not tense, not anxious, just in between. Maybe you're waiting to be reborn. Maybe you're waiting to move on. Maybe you're just resting before the next thing. And while you wait, you're not alone. Others are here too, sitting quietly, thinking. No one speaks, but there's a shared understanding. We are all in transition. And that's okay. The eternal return. Nietzsche proposed a thought experiment. What if you had to live your life over and over again? Exactly the same, every choice, every pain, every joy. Infinite times, forever. Would you be horrified, or would you embrace it? He called this the eternal return. And he said, if you can say yes to that, if you can love your life so much you'd live it forever, then you've truly lived. Some wonder if this isn't just philosophy. What if it's real? What if death just brings you back to the beginning? And you live the same life again and again, forgetting each time so it always feels new. It sounds like a loop, but maybe it's a gift. A chance to get it right, to love deeper, to notice more. Until one day, you live it so fully. You break free. The void that listens. Not all voids are empty. Some believe that after death, you enter a space of pure listening. No talking, no action, just deep, infinite receptivity. You become a presence that absorbs everything. Every sound, every vibration, every whisper of existence. And in that listening, you understand. Not through thought, through feeling. You feel the pain of the world, the joy, the longing. And you hold it all without judgment. This is what some mystics call the void that listens. It's not absence, it's attention. Pure, undivided, eternal attention. And maybe that's what the universe needs most. Not more action, just listening. The memory palace. Imagine walking through a palace. Every room is a memory. Your first day of school, a summer afternoon, a conversation that changed you. The walls are made of moments, and you can walk through them, re-experience them anytime you want. Some believe the afterlife is like this, a place where all your memories are preserved, not as regrets, as treasures. You wander the halls, revisiting your life, seeing it from new angles, understanding things you missed. And slowly you realize every moment mattered. Even the hard ones, especially the hard ones, because they made you who you are. And in this palace, you're finally home. The Star Nursery. Look up at the stars. Every one of them was born from collapsing gas and dust. They burn, they die, and when they explode, they scatter elements into space. Those elements form new stars, new planets, new life. You are made of stardust, literally. The carbon in your body, the iron in your blood. It all came from stars that died billions of years ago. And when you die, those atoms return. They scatter, they join new forms. Maybe a tree, maybe a bird, maybe another human centuries from now. You don't continue as you, but your substance continues. Forever recycled, forever becoming. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe rearranging itself. And that never stops. The echo. What if consciousness doesn't die? What if it just echoes? Like a sound bouncing off canyon walls. Fainter each time, but still there. You live your life, you make an impact. And that impact ripples outward. It touches others, changes them, moves through them. And they pass it on. Your kindness becomes someone else's kindness. Your courage becomes someone else's courage. You echo through time. Quieter, yes, but never fully silent. And maybe that's immortality. Not living forever, but echoing forever. A part of you carried forward by everyone you touched. The Unfolding Lotus. In Buddhism, the lotus is a sacred symbol. It grows in mud, rises through water, blooms in the air. From darkness to light. Some say the soul is like this. You begin in ignorance, struggle through suffering. And slowly, painfully, you rise. Death is not the end of that process. It's another stage of blooming. You shed the mud, you break the surface. And you open, petal by petal, life by life, until you are fully awake, fully aware, fully free. And that blooming never ends. Because the lotus, once opened, reveals infinite layers. The forgotten langu. Age. What if before birth you spoke a language? The language of the soul. And when you were born, you forgot it. You learned human languages, human thoughts. But deep down, you still know the old language. You just can't access it, not while you're alive. But when you die, it comes back. Suddenly, you remember. And you can speak to other souls. Not in words, in something deeper. Pure meaning, pure understanding. And you realize you were never really communicating before. You were just approximating. But now, finally, you can be understood. Fully, completely. And the relief is overwhelming. The glass window. Picture a window. On one side is life, on the other, death. You stand in life, looking through the glass. You can't see what's on the other side, it's dark. But those on the other side can see you. They watch, they remember, they wait. And sometimes they press their hands to the glass. You feel it, a sudden warmth, a memory of someone you lost. You think it's your imagination. But maybe it's not. Maybe they're right there, watching, waiting. Until the day you step through the glass. And you see them again. And the glass disappears. Because it was never really there. The return to water. Water is life. You began in water, in the womb. And some say you return to it. Not literal water, but the essence of flow. You stop being solid, stop being fixed. And you become fluid again. Able to move, to change, to seep into new places. You are rain, you are rivers, you are the ocean. You nourish the earth, you carve canyons, you reflect the sky. And you are never still. Always moving, always becoming. That's the soul after death. Not frozen, not stopped. Just flowing into eternity. The council of lives. Imagine sitting at a table. Around you are all the versions of you from all your past lives. The warrior, the mother, the farmer, the scholar. Each one has a story, each one has wisdom. And now, together, you review. What did we learn? What patterns keep repeating? What do we still need to understand? This is the council of lives. A meeting of selves. And together, you decide what comes next. What lesson to pursue, what role to play. You choose your next life, not as punishment, as curriculum. And when the meeting is over, you step forward. Into a new body, a new world. Ready to learn again. The breath between. Breathe in. Breathe out. Life is the inhale, death is the exhale. And between them is a pause. A moment of stillness. That's where you go. Not forward, not backward. Just in the pause. You rest in the space between breaths. And in that space, there is no time. No urgency, no need. Just presence. Pure, quiet, infinite presence. And when the next breath begins, you move. Maybe into a new life, maybe into something else. But for now, you rest. In the pause, the map of souls. Imagine a map, not of places, of people. Every soul that's ever existed, marked as a point of light. And lines connecting them, relationships, encounters, impacts. A web of connection stretching across time and space. You are one point on that map. And when you die, you see the whole thing. You see how you connected to others, how you influenced them, how they influenced you. And you realize no one is isolated. Everyone touches everyone. And the map is beautiful. A glowing, intricate, infinite web. And you are part of it. Forever. The Unfinished Symphony. Think of your life as a piece of music. You've been composing it note by note. Some parts are harmonious, others are dissonant. But it's yours. And when you die, the music doesn't end. It just pauses, waiting for the next movement. Maybe someone else picks up the melody. Your children, your students, your friends. They carry it forward, add their own notes. And the symphony continues. Not as yours alone, as something shared. A collaboration across generations. And one day, someone will play the final note. But until then, the music goes on. The mirror self. What if there's another you? On the other side of death. A mirror version living a parallel life. While you experience life, they experience death. While you struggle, they rest. And when you die, you switch places. You become the one resting. And they step forward to live. This is an old idea, the shadow self, the double. In some myths, everyone has one. A twin that exists in the realm of the dead. And death is just a reunion. You meet yourself, the other half. And together you are whole. The seed in the dark. A seed is buried in soil. It's cold, it's dark, it's alone. To an outsider, it looks dead. But inside, something is happening. The shell is breaking, roots are forming. It's not death, it's transformation. Maybe that's what happens after we die. We are planted. And in the darkness, in the silence, we begin to grow. Not as what we were, as what we are becoming. And one day, we break through the soil. Into light, into a new form. But that takes time. So we rest in the dark, in the earth. Becoming. The ancient knowing. Deep inside you, there's a part that already knows. It's always known. It remembers before birth, it sees beyond death. It's the oldest part of you. Some call it the soul, others call it intuition. But it's there, quiet, patient. And when you die, that part takes over. The confused mind falls away. And what's left is the ancient knowing. The part that was never afraid. The part that always understood. And it says, I told you, it's okay. And you believe it. Because it's been true all along. The thread through time. Imagine a golden thread. It runs through your entire life. Through every moment, every choice, every breath. You can't see it while you're alive, but it's there. And when you die, you pull on the thread. And it gathers your life into a single point. Everything you were, everything you did. All of it woven together. And you see the pattern. How it all connected, how it all mattered. And the thread doesn't end. It runs backward into past lives. And forward into future ones. You are not a single life. You are a thread running through eternity. The hall of doors. Picture a hallway. Endless, lined with doors. Each one leads somewhere different. A past life, a future life, a parallel universe. You stand in the hallway after you die. And you choose which door to open, where to go next. No one forces you, no one judges. You simply choose. And you open a door. And you step through. Into another story, another self, another chance. And the hallway remains, waiting for the next time, the next choice. Forever. The still point. There is a place where nothing moves. Not because it's frozen, because it's complete. All motion, all change, all time, they converge here. And then stop. This is the still point. Some mystics speak of it, the center of all things. When you die, some believe you return there. And for a moment, you are utterly still. Not dead, not alive, just present. And in that stillness, you understand everything. Not through thought, through being. You are the still point. And from there, all things are possible. The invitation. Here's a gentle idea. What if death is an invitation? Come home, come rest, come see. Not a demand, not a punishment. An invitation. And you can accept it when you're ready. Some people fight it, they cling to life. And that's okay, there's no rush. But eventually, everyone says yes. Because the invitation is so kind, so warm, so full of love. And when you finally accept, you realize this isn't an ending. It's a beginning. The spiral galaxy. Look at a galaxy. Spiral arms spinning slowly. Stars born in the center, flung outward, dying at the edges. And the whole thing rotates forever. You are like a star in that galaxy. You begin at the center, you live, you move outward. And eventually, you reach the edge and dissolve. But your matter falls back inward. And the cycle begins again. New stars, new lives, new forms. The galaxy doesn't stop. And neither do you. You are part of the rotation. Forever spiraling, forever returning. The desert night. Imagine lying on your back in a desert. The sky is black, the stars are endless. There's no sound, no movement. Just you and the universe. Some say death feels like this. Vast, silent, beautiful. You are so small, but you're part of something infinite. And that's comforting. You don't need to be big, you don't need to matter. You just need to be. And the stars will shine. And the universe will hold you. And that's enough. The return to innocence. Before you knew fear, you were innocent. Not naive, just open. You trusted, you wondered, you explored. Then life taught you to be cautious, to guard yourself. And you forgot how to be innocent. But some say death brings it back. The walls come down, the armor falls away. And you're innocent again. Seeing the world, or whatever comes next, with fresh eyes. No cynicism, no bitterness, no fear. Just wonder, like a child waking up on the first day of summer. And everything is possible again. The echoed chamber. Imagine a room where every sound echoes forever. You speak and the words repeat, softer each time but never fully fading. Maybe the soul is like that. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take. It echoes. Through time, through space, through other lives. And after death, you hear the echoes. All of them at once. Not as noise, as music. The symphony of your existence. And you realize every moment left a mark. Nothing was wasted. Everything echoed. The bridge. Death is often called a crossing. From here to there, from known to unknown. And in many myths, there's a bridge. Sometimes it's narrow, sometimes it's wide. Sometimes it's guarded, sometimes it's empty. But it's always there. And you walk across it slowly, carefully. Beneath you something vast, a river, an abyss, the void. But you don't fall. Because the bridge holds. And on the other side, someone is waiting. You can't see them yet, but you feel them. And you keep walking. One step at a time. Toward whatever, whoever is next. The color you've never seen. Think about this. Every color you've ever seen exists within a specific range. But there are colors beyond that range. Ultraviolet, infrared, colors that exist but your eyes can't perceive. Now imagine, what if death introduces you to a new color? Not metaphorically, literally. A color that doesn't exist in life. You see it, and it's so beautiful you can't believe you lived without it. And you realize there's so much more than you ever knew. So many dimensions of experience you couldn't access. Until now. And the new color is just the beginning. The infinite conversation. What if the afterlife is a conversation? Not with one person, with everyone. Every soul that's ever existed, talking, listening, sharing. You join the conversation, you add your voice. And you listen to theirs. Stories, wisdom, jokes, pain, joy. All of it flowing like a river of words. And you realize communication was always the point. To be heard, to hear others. And now, finally, there are no barriers. No language, no misunderstanding. Just pure connection. Forever. The tree of lives. Imagine a tree. Each branch is a life, each leaf is a moment. You are one branch, one part of the whole. And when you die, you don't fall away. You just stop growing. But the tree continues. Other branches grow, other leaves unfold. And you're still there, part of the structure. Holding up the newer growth. You're not gone, you're foundational. And one day, the tree will be so vast, so full, that it touches the sky. And you'll be part of that. Forever. The great forgetting. What if life is remembering and death is forgetting? Not in a sad way, in a freeing way. You forget your name, your story, your pain. You forget who you thought you were. And in that forgetting, you become everything. Because identity is a limit. And once you forget it, you're limitless. You are the ocean that forgot it was a wave. The sky that forgot it was a cloud. And in that vastness, there is peace. Because there's nothing left to protect. Nothing left to lose. Just being. The embrace. Close your eyes. Imagine being held. Not by a person, by presence itself. Warm, safe, infinite. Many near-death experiences describe this. A feeling of being embraced. By light, by love, by something that knows you completely. And you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to justify. You're just held. And it's the safest you've ever felt. Maybe that's what death is. Not falling into darkness, but being caught by something that's been waiting for you all along. The eternal flame. Picture a candle. It burns, it flickers, and eventually it goes out. But the flame doesn't disappear. It just moves. To another candle, another wick. The light continues. This is how some see the soul. Not as a thing that ends, but as a flame that transfers. From body to body, life to life. Always burning, always moving. And when one candle goes out, there's no need to mourn. Because the flame is already somewhere else. Burning bright. The sky burial. In Tibet, there's a practice called sky burial. The body is left on a mountaintop. Birds come, they take the flesh. And the bones are scattered. It sounds harsh, but it's not. It's a return. The body feeds the birds feed the land. And the person becomes part of the ecosystem again. Not trapped in a box, but free. Flowing back into life. Maybe the soul is the same. Not preserved, released. Given back to the world. To become rain, wind, light. Anything but gone. The witness returns. You've been watching your whole life. Every thought, every feeling, every moment. There's been a silent witness inside you. Not judging, just observing. When you die, the person you thought you were falls away. And all that's left is the witness. Pure awareness. It doesn't need a body, it doesn't need a story. It just watches. And maybe that's what the afterlife is. Not a place, not a state. Just watching. Forever. The sculptor's hand. Imagine a sculptor shaping clay. They mold it, shape it, create something beautiful. Then, when the piece is done, they step back. And they rest. You are both the clay and the sculptor. You've been shaping yourself your whole life. Every choice, every experience. And when you die, the shaping is done. You step back, you look at what you made. And you see it was good. Not perfect, but real. And now you rest. Before the next sculpture begins. The last lesson. Life is full of lessons. Some you learn, some you don't. But there's always one more. The last lesson. And it's the simplest. Let go. That's that's the final teaching. Let go of control, let go of fear, let go of needing to know. And when you do, you realize you were never in control anyway. You were always held, always guided. And now you can finally rest. Because the lesson is complete. The star map. Look at the stars again. Each one is a soul. And the constellations, those are families, communities, connections. You are one star. And when you die, you take your place in the pattern. You shine, you connect. And you become part of the map that guides others. They look up, they see you. And they remember, I'm not alone. And neither are you. You're part of the sky now. Forever visible, forever guiding. The great yes. Life asks a question. Over and over. Will you say yes? Yes to love, yes to pain, yes to growth. And death asks the same question. One last time. Will you say yes? Yes to letting go, yes to the unknown, yes to whatever comes next. And when you say yes, truly yes, everything opens. And you realize saying yes was the point all along. Not to everything, but to this. To the journey, to the mystery. To life and to death. Yes, the ocean returns. You began as a wave. Rising from the ocean, cresting, falling. And now you return. Back to the water, back to the source. You don't disappear, you just stop being separate. You merge. And the ocean is richer for having held you. You were always part of it. But for a while, you got to be distinct. To move, to crash, to foam and spray. And now you rest. In the deep. In the whole. In the endless, infinite ocean. The garden gate. Picture a gate. Old wood, slightly weathered, covered in vines. Beyond it you can hear birds, smell flowers. But you can't see what's inside. Not yet. You stand at the gate, your hand on the latch. And you hesitate. Not because you're afraid, just because this is the threshold. Once you open it, everything changes. But you know deep down it's time. So you lift the latch. You push the gate open. And you step through. Into the garden. And it's more beautiful than you imagined. The song that never ends. Music doesn't die. It just stops being played. But the notes still exist, in memory, in potential. And someone someday will play them again. You are a song. And death is not silence. It's the space between performances. The pause before the encore. And when the music begins again, it will be different. New instruments, new tempo, new harmonies. But it will still be you. Still your melody. Playing through eternity. The horizon line. Stand at the ocean. Look at the horizon. Where the water meets the sky. You can't see beyond it, but you know there's more. Death is like that. A horizon line. You reach it and you cross it. And suddenly, there's a whole new view. More ocean, more sky, more world. It was always there. You just couldn't see it. Until now. The circle closes. Every story has a beginning, middle, and end. And then, if you zoom out, you realize the end connects to the beginning. It's a circle. Your life is like that. You were born, you lived, you died. And in dying, you return to the place you started. Not as loss, as completion. The circle closes. And inside that circle is everything you were. Whole, finished, perfect in its imperfection. And now the circle rests. Complete. The library card. Imagine checking out a book from a library. You read it, you learn from it, you live inside its pages for a while. And then, when you're done, you return it. You place it back on the shelf. Life is the book, and death is returning it. You're not gone, you're just done reading. And now someone else can check it out. Live a different version, learn different lessons. And the library continues. Forever full, forever circulating. Forever alive. The moth and the flame. A moth sees a flame. It's drawn to it, compelled. It flies closer, closer. And finally, it touches the light. And it vanishes. But did it die, or did it become the flame? Maybe that's what happens when you die. You fly toward the light. And instead of being destroyed, you merge with it. You become what you were always seeking. Not loss, transformation. Not death, arrival. The unwinding. Your whole life, you've been winding up. Tighter and tighter. Responsibilities, identities, stories. And now finally, you unwind. Slowly, gently. The tension releases. The knots loosen. And you realize you were never meant to be this tight. You were meant to be loose, free, flowing. And death is the unwinding. Not a breaking, a release. And what's left is soft. Restful. At peace. The mirror breaks. You've been looking at yourself through a mirror your whole life. But the mirror was distorted. It showed you a version of yourself, not the truth. And when you die, the mirror breaks. And you see yourself clearly for the first time. Not as you thought you were. As you truly are. And it's so much more than you imagined. So much brighter, so much vaster. And you wonder, why did I ever believe the mirror? But now you know. And the knowing is freedom. The return to silence. Before sound, there was silence. And after sound, silence returns. Not empty silence, full silence. The kind that holds everything. You were born from that silence. And you return to it. But now you understand it. You hear the fullness inside the quiet. The presence inside the absence. And you realize silence was never nothing. It was always everything. And now you rest inside it. Whole. The stone in the river. A river flows over a stone. For years, decades, centuries. The stone is worn smooth. And eventually it becomes sand. And the sand flows with the river, becoming part of the current. You are the stone. Life is the river. And death is when you finally become sand. No longer solid, no longer separate. Just part of the flow. Moving, shifting, becoming. Forever. The threshold guardian. In many myths, there's a guardian at the threshold. A figure who asks you a question before you can pass. Not to block you, to prepare you. Are you ready? And you must answer honestly. If you say no, you wait. You're not punished, just held. Until you can say yes. And when you do, the guardian steps aside. And you cross into whatever lies beyond. Not because you earned it, but because you were ready. The constellation of memory. Every person you've loved is a star. And together they form a constellation. You see them even when they're gone. You trace the lines between them. And you remember. And when you die, you become a star too. in someone else's constellation. They look up, they see you, and they remember. And the sky is full, forever full, of light, of memory, of love. The frequency shift. Everything is vibration. Sound, light, matter, thought. All of it vibrates at different frequencies. And life is one frequency. Death is another. You don't stop vibrating, you just shift to a frequency that physical senses can't detect. But it's still there, still real. Still you. Just beyond hearing, beyond seeing. But not beyond being. The second birth. Birth was the first time you entered a body. Death is the second time you leave it. And after death, some say, there's a second birth. Into a new form, a new state, a new kind of existence. You emerge again. Not as a baby, as consciousness itself. Aware, awake, alive. And you realize, I've been born so many times. And I'll be born again. Because birth and death are not opposites. They're partners. Forever dancing. The cloud becomes rain. A cloud floats. It holds water, it drifts, it's visible. Then it rains. The cloud disappears. But the water doesn't, it falls, it feeds the earth. It becomes rivers, plants, life. You are the cloud. And death is the rain. You don't vanish, you transform. You become something the earth needs. Something essential, something life-giving. And the cycle continues. Because the water always returns to the sky. The long exhale. You've been holding your breath your whole life. Not literally, but energetically. Holding tension, holding fear, holding on. And death is the moment you finally exhale. Fully, completely. You let everything go. And the relief is overwhelming. You didn't realize how much you were holding. Until you released it. And now there's nothing left to carry. Just breath, just release. Just peace. The turning of the page. Life is a chapter. And when it ends, you don't close the book. You turn the page. And the next chapter begins. Different setting, different characters. But the same story. The story of you, of growth, of becoming. And the book is long. So long, you'll never reach the end. Because the story doesn't end. It just keeps unfolding. Forever. The seed becomes the tree. You were planted. In this life, in this body. And you grew. Roots down, branches up. You weathered storms, you reached for light. And when you die, you don't stop being a tree. You just become the forest. Part of something larger. Connected, rooted, alive. And your seeds scatter. And new trees grow. And the forest expands. Forever. The final permission. You've been waiting for permission your whole life. To rest, to stop trying, to just be. And death gives it to you. You are released from all obligation. You don't have to achieve, you don't have to perform. You can finally just be. And in that being, there's a lightness. A freedom you never found in life. Because life demanded, death releases. And the release is grace. The echo of love. Love doesn't die. It echoes. Through everyone you loved, everyone who loved you. It moves, it spreads, it continues. And when you die, your love doesn't stop. It becomes part of the echo. A ripple in the fabric of connection. And somewhere, someone feels it. They don't know why, but they feel warmer. Safer, Mo. Ray loved. Because your love is still moving. Still echoing. Forever. The gate opens inward. You've been searching for the door. The way out, the way forward. And finally, you find it. But when you reach for the handle, you realize. The door opens inward. Not out into a new place. Into yourself. And when you step through, you discover. Everything you were looking for was already inside. The peace, the light, the truth. It was always there. You just had to go in. The music box winds down. Imagine a music box. It plays a beautiful melody. But eventually it slows. The notes stretch, the tempo softens. And finally it stops. But the melody doesn't disappear. It rests in memory, in silence, waiting to be wound again. And when it is, the song returns. You are the music box. And death is the winding down. Not an end, a pause. Before the next song begins, the horizon expands. You've been living inside a circle, a boundary of what you could see, what you could know. And death is the moment the boundary dissolves. The horizon expands. Suddenly, there's so much more. More space, more possibility, more existence. And you realize the circle was never real. It was just the limit of your perception. And now you see everything. The weight lifts. You've been carrying something. Your whole life. Worry, regret, fear, responsibility. And death is the moment it lifts. You feel it rise off your shoulders. And you stand taller, lighter, freer. And you realize, I was never meant to carry that. It was never mine. And now, finally, I can walk without it. And the walking is easy. The river reaches the sea. A river begins in the mountains. It flows, it rushes, it carves its path. And eventually, it reaches the sea. And it doesn't stop, it just opens. Into vastness, into depth, into endless water. You are the river. And death is reaching the sea. You don't end, you expand. You become part of something so much larger. And the sea welcomes you. As it always has. As it always will. The last breath. There will be a last breath. One final inhale, one final exhale. And in that breath, everything is contained. Your whole life, every moment, every feeling. It all comes down to this. One breath. And when you release it, you're not afraid. Because you've been breathing your whole life. And this is just another breath. The last one. And it's the easiest one you've ever taken. Because finally, you can let go. The horizon beckons. You've been walking toward something your whole life. And now you see it. The horizon. Not an ending, a meeting. Where the earth touches the sky. Where the known meets the unknown. And you keep walking. One step at a time. And the horizon doesn't retreat. It welcomes you. And you step into it. Into the light. Into the vastness. Into home. The circle completes. You began as consciousness. Pure, undefined, infinite. And then you became a person. A body, a name, a story. And now you return. Not to nothing, to everything. The circle completes. You are back where you started. But you're not the same. You carry the journey with you. And the circle is richer for having held you. And now you rest. Complete. The light remains. When a candle goes out, the light doesn't disappear. It just stops being visible. But the photons still exist, moving through space. Traveling through the universe forever. You are like that. When your body stops, your light continues. Not as a metaphor, as truth. You are energy, and energy never dies. It just changes form. And your light keeps moving. Through others, through memory, through time. Forever traveling. Forever shining. The final rest. And now, as the night deepens, as your thoughts begin to soften, let yourself imagine this. There is a place waiting for you. Not far, not unreachable. A place where you are known completely. Where you are loved unconditionally. Where you can finally, truly rest. It's not about belief, it's not about certainty. It's just possibility. The possibility that death is not the end of you, but the beginning of rest. Deep, eternal, peaceful rest. And maybe that's all we need to know. That when the time comes, we'll be held. We'll be home. We'll be at peace. So for now, let your mind be still. Let your breath slow down. And let yourself rest. Because rest is not the opposite of life. It's the reward for having lived. And you've lived. And you'll rest. And all will be well.